What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rugged Adventures. Why would you want to purchase this versus one of these? This is what they call a pistol caliber carbine, and a lot of you guys have seen them. There's a lot of different models out there. This happens to be a Keltec Sub2K. This is the Gen 3 model that I just did a video on, and you know, it has this little fanciness where it can fold up and be a little smaller. But when we're looking at these pistol caliber carbines, not all of them do that, and what that is where they take a bullet that was intended for one of these, put it in a form factor similar to one of these, even though this is a 20-inch rifle, and then you come up with this that is a carbine length pistol chambered firearm. And that could be in, this particular one is 9mm. They make this in 40. You can get them in 45. You can get them in 357. You can get them in a lot of different things. And so why would you necessarily choose this over this or anything else? And what's what we're going to look at today, because there's a whole lot of reasons. The first one that you may be thinking about is concealability. One of the biggest things about pistols is that they are concealable, and it's obvious that even if this thing's folded up, this is going to be a heck of a lot more concealable than this thing is. And so just on size alone, that is not going to sell anyone on this. But the ability for this to be a little bit smaller, and especially these ones that can fold up like this, and there are other ones that fold, but you know, other than this Keltec Sub2K, that gives you the ability to maybe put it in a backpack, put it in a pack if you're going camping or something, and you want something that is a little bit more accurate. And that is where the pistol caliber carbine really shines versus these pistols. And we'll get into that right away. We'll just see how quickly you can get some, you know, acquire and hit some targets at 25 and 50 yards out with one of these versus one of these, if you can even make the hits with this versus this. So we have 6 targets downrange, and they range anywhere between about 20 to 50 yards away, and we're shooting 115 grain, just hollow point, you know, just regular old ammo in both of these in 9mm. And so we'll see with going slowly how many of these we can hit on a first-time basis versus with the pistol caliber carbine. So we'll just kind of work this from left to right. Got one there, hit that one. Now we'll get out a little bit farther, and that was a miss, and then down to 50 yards, and we were able to make a hit on the target at 50 yards. So we got 5 out of 6, and that's actually better than I thought that we would end up getting with just the pistol here. And so now we'll move on to the Sub2K with the, again, the longer length of this lends itself to more accuracy. Because when you have a pistol like this, you're only going to have, let me make sure this is clear, 2 hands on the gun, so you only really have 2 points of contact. And when you squeeze the trigger, there is the tendency for you to want to pull it one way or another. Whereas with the Sub2K, or any other type of pistol caliber carbine, you have at least 3 points of contact, and they're very widely spaced, leading to a lot more stability. One of them is back here in your shoulder, which keeps it sort of from going like this while you're shooting. And then when you get your cheek weld down here, which is kind of a little bit harder to do with this carbine, it gives you 4 points of contact. So let's see if we do any better than we did with our first one, which I honestly don't know, since I was not thinking we would hit as many the first time with the pistol. Make sure our safety's off. And here we go. We'll just work this one left to right just like the other one. And I either got them all or I hit the posts. I'm not sure on that one, to be honest with you. So let's try to move through those targets a little bit quicker and see if there's any difference between, you know, target acquisition and hitting between this little pistol and this Sub2K. We'll try to pick up the speed a little bit. And going quickly, it's a lot harder to hit the smaller targets than it is the larger targets and the ones that are closer. And so let's get the carbine going here, and we'll see if that does any better. And we did all 6 on this, no problem. And that makes, you know, that kind of just showcases how much easier it is for you to acquire and accurately, you know, engage a target versus something that is a lot shorter with a lot fewer points of contact. So that was kind of a qualitative test, but now let's look at some quantitative. What we are is about 7 feet away, or 21 feet away, about 7 yards from this target. We're going to try each of these shooting slowly and then shooting rapidly, and just see what kind of groups we get from an average shooter like me from the standard like 7 yards that people do a lot of target practice at. So let's start first with the 9mm out of a pistol. And this is a PSA Dagger, if anyone was wondering, and it has like a 4.5-inch barrel on it. So we'll do the slow one on the upper right, and we'll see what we come up with. And all of those are centered over in that upper left-hand quadrant there, or upper right-hand quadrant. Now, if we go to the bottom quadrant and we do the same thing, but rapid fire, you get a much wider target or a much wider pattern than you did with the first one. We can walk up here and see that. So a very small amount of deviation, and then down here a much wider amount of deviation. Now let's go back up and try it again with the Sub2K and see if we get similar or different results with it. So the Sub2K, 16-inch barrel from the same distance, and we'll do these all on the left side. First one up top will be 5 slowly into the left grid there. And they were pretty much all right in one little spot. Now the lower grid at rapid fire. And honestly, we came up with a pattern that was probably bigger than the pistol was. And so I don't really know what that says about the gun or the shooter, but when we were shooting very slowly, all 5 of those in that little spot right there, and this one was a bit bigger. Now, when you're looking at accuracy, there is also another thing to consider between a pistol like this and a PCC like this, if you're not using optics. Obviously, both of these have optics, so the only accuracy benefit that we get from this is just the longer grip length and the more points of contact. But if you are using iron sights, you get a tremendously longer sight radius, which makes sighting in things accurately and quickly much easier than on a 4.5-inch gun like this. But next up is how much more bullet velocity do you get, because mainly with bullets, velocity is what really changes their ability to penetrate and how much energy they have. Now, you would think that going from a 4.5-inch barrel to a 16-inch barrel would make a tremendous difference in velocity. And no, I did not just fly the cameraman. I'm here by myself. But in the chart that I'll put on the screen right now, you'll see that there is a very little difference between a 4.5-inch muzzle or barrel and a 16-inch, usually on about 150 feet per second. And when I looked at other PCCs like 45s, 40s, 357s, I see sort of the same things where the almost 4 times barrel length really doesn't make that much difference in velocity, versus if you have a rifle round like a 5.56, going from a 6 or 8-inch barrel up to a 16 or 20 can nearly double the velocity. But let's take a look at what they will actually do with our 1x1x1 wood block. We already did this on the review that I did with this, so if you've already seen it, you're gonna have to watch again or fast forward. But we'll see what the difference in penetration is in a 1x1x1 piece of pine. First up will be our Dagger with a 4.5-inch barrel. And we will there. And then next we will do our Sub2K with a 16-inch barrel. And we'll try to put this one towards the bottom so that we remember where exactly it was. If I turn the optic on. Safety was still on. Yeah, and that one went right in the bottom, so we'll be able to easily tell right where it is. So our PCC went in here, and our pistol went in right there, but unfortunately, it ended up coming out right here. So we're gonna shoot it again so that we get the results that we're looking for. Take 2 with the pistol to make sure that we're getting as much penetration as we can. We'll just try to shoot this a little bit lower. So the results are in, and this ended up being about the same as when I've tested the Sub2K on its own. What we have here is where the pistol went in, and this is where the first shot ended up going in up here. And these are some old ones that I have. I've shot some 5.56 at this before, but this is where the PCC went in, and we'll just kind of follow this through this, 1 foot thick when they're all together piece of wood. The first few layers, they don't really tell you much that you wouldn't expect. We're going through, that's the second layer, the third layer is the same, the fourth layer is the same, the fifth layer is the same for the most part. The 6th layer is basically the same. You got the pistol here, you got the PCC, and then this is where that first 9mm went ahead and exited the test and was off into nowhere. This is also where the pistol round out of the Dagger, out of the 4.5 inch, stopped. And you guys probably are not going to be able to see the bullet in there. It's hard for me to even show you or get this thing to ding on it since it's so far in there, but it almost went through to the back side. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at 1.5 inches makes that what, 7.5, if not, correct my math, plus another basically 1.5 inches. So we got through 9 inches of pine with the pistol. Now the pistol caliber carbine is still trucking on. Like I said, those are some old 5.56s that just went straight through without doing hardly anything. So in here, this is the PCC. This is actually some 5.56 tumbling. The 9mm doesn't as much. And then when we get here to the end of the line on the, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th board, we see the bullet. I hope you guys can see that down in there. If not, hopefully you can hear that that is a bullet in there. It has gone through almost 12 inches of pine and stopped right before it comes out the back. And as you can see here from the previous video that we did with the Sub 2K, the other one is in right about the same spot. And so, you know, this is again from the 5.56s exiting. That one from the Sub 2K was right about there. So while a 16-inch barrel versus a 4.5 doesn't get you a ton more velocity, it does do more damage to the tune of what, about 2 or 3 more inches of penetration in this this pine board. And this is, if you guys haven't seen this before, a 1x12x8 that we cut into 8 sections, makes for a nice target that you can shoot into and is easily disassembled. Now, some people have called this test inconclusive, unscientific, and just plain stupid, and I could not agree with them more. But the other half of owning guns and using them, other than keeping tyranny at bay and self-defense, I would hope for most people, is also having fun with them. And so for this one, we're gonna have a good time. We're not running a science lab here. I've said that before. We have 12 cans stacked up. We are going to test a pistol between the pistol caliber carbine, the Sub 2K, on how many that each one of these can get through. It's going to be a one-shot test, and if you don't like the results of it, it's okay. We're just shooting Coke cans in the middle of the woods. So let's see what happens. We got really one shot at this per gun, and if we screw it up, we screw it up. From extremely close range. Oh, and I got sody pop all over me. So here's the aftermath of what happened. We have 3 left there, so we ended up getting 9. 1 flew all the way down there. And then, let's see, it was this one that was just shooting a little tiny bit of soda out of there. And so I would imagine that one either caught a fragment at the end of it or just got bumped into the other ones. But the rest of them looked like they were pretty solidly destroyed by bullet impact. I don't see the bullet around here, but we'll take a look. And we'll reset and see if the PCC goes any farther with that like 120, 150 feet per second advantage. So now with the Sub 2K PCC, we'll see if it gets more than 9 or if this scientifically accurate double-blind study is somehow flawed. Let's see before the bees get us. God bless America. So on this one, we have 2 left standing, but that's really not the entire picture, because here on the ground, we have 2 as well that aren't punctured. They're fully intact. So this one actually left 4. Now, does that mean that the PCC was less powerful? Probably not. We know mathematically that it is more powerful, if not, you know, to a small degree than the pistol. Probably the bullet just took a more advantageous path out of the pistol. There are a zillion different variables, and to be honest with you, this is just a fun kind of test. So what's really the bottom line on these things? Which one is better? And that depends on, like many things, what you're doing with the thing. If you're looking for concealability, the pistol is going to win. I am going to venture to say 100% of the time. Even with a PCC like this that you can fold in half and, you know, make it half the length, this is still probably going to fit in a smaller space than this. This does have a small advantage in energy over the pistol, which is, you know, from the chart that I put on the screen, and really in most of the calibers that pistols and PCCs come in, you are going to get a slight advantage for the PCC over the pistol. Now, like our testing showed down there, does it really do a lot more in real life? Is 2 more inches of penetration into wood, is that the end all be all? Maybe it is to you. And if that's the case, then the PCC definitely wins. The one place that the PCC is definitely going to take the cake and is going to take the win by far is in accuracy. If, you know, we saw it down there, if you have more points of contact, you have a longer grip on this thing. You're gripping it out here, you're bracing it with your shoulder, you're gripping it here, you got your cheek weld down here. You're going to just be inherently more accurate. You're going to be able to acquire and engage targets quicker, whether that's in real life or just targets like this. That is going to be a thing versus this, where you are holding it like this and you only have 2 points of contact. And it's, you know, it can be a little bit harder to aim and quickly engage multiple targets, or, you know, move down a line of targets. Now, will a rifle pistol, like something chambered in 5.56, 300 blackout, or 7.62 by 39, do an even better job than this? Yeah, that is the case. It probably will do a better job. It will probably fit in the same or even smaller form factor than these. The little pistols, you know, with the 10.5-inch barrel, probably with the brace, probably only come out to maybe here, or something like that. But the thing that I try to tell most people is don't get so caught up in technical specs, in if it's tactical, if the SEAL teams are using it, if you can come up with some hypothetical situation where Russian paratroopers are falling from the sky, will it be able to carry you in combat, to overlook fun guns like PCCs that are shooting cheap ammo that you can use definitely YouTube approved 29 round magazines in, that have a very low recoil and are just a ton of fun to shoot like this once you've gotten, you know, your gun that you're going to use in the case of Red Dawn. So guys, if you haven't yet, subscribe down below, hit that like button. That helps keep revenue coming into the channel, helps more people see this so that we can buy and demonstrate more items like this and all the other things that you guys have seen on this channel. I appreciate you all watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.